Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Dade County Weekly Update. Remember, you can type your question in the comment section during the live update. And if you don't want to ask your question during the live broadcast, you can always email us at info@dadecounty-ga.gov. Thank you so much for coming to the right place for the right information. Today, we'll be hearing from Dade County Executive Ted Rumley and our Chief Appraiser from the Assessor's Office, Paula Duvall. If you know someone who would be interested in hearing from any of our guests today, go ahead and invite them to watch this live broadcast or start a watch party so you can hold your own discussion. Remember that you can also watch this later on Facebook or YouTube, and sharing the links to our videos is super easy. We also have a special announcement today for all of you who are on Facebook. We do have a new Facebook page, County Executive Rumley. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it is for the Dade County Sports Complex, so make sure to check that page out, and we'll be putting announcements there for things regarding the sports complex.
Good afternoon. My name is Paula Duvall. I'm the Chief Appraiser for the Assessor's Office, and I just wanted to come in and give a little report about our countywide reevaluation that we've done for 2021. This is something that's been worked on since around September, October. We did contract with an outside company to help us with this reevaluation, because what a reevaluation is basically saying we're looking at all classes of property across the board, lands, residentials, buildings, anything like that has been examined per the market. Extensive market studies, sales analysis have been done throughout the months. So I just want to come in and touch base with the taxpayers to let you know that we're almost to completion of that. That should be completed by next week. The Board of Assessors will meet next week to approve the digest. Our goal to mail out assessment notices will be May the 28th, which is the last Friday of this month. And your assessment notice, it comes from our office, the Assessor's Office, and what your assessment notice is, that is not your bill. That is simply to let you know from our office what your taxable value is for the current year, and to give you your opportunity, if you disagreed with that value, to file an appeal. Now, the appeal time frame is from the date the assessment notices are mailed until 45 days after that. So pay attention to those dates, because if you do not file an appeal within that 45-day time frame, your right to file an appeal is lost. Now, just to give you a heads up, there are some increases in value. Mostly land values did increase, some significantly, some not so significantly. There were some decreases. The thing about when you only do a reevaluation once every 7 to 10 years, unfortunately, you do see a large increase in property values, because you're not really looking just from one year to the next. You're going over several years' time. So sometimes those increases can be significant, and unfortunately, that's just the way that has to happen, because reevaluations can't be done every year. It's too extensive a process and too expensive of a process also. So I just wanted to let you know that there were some changes in value, mostly land values. Large tracts, what I've seen, is going to be the bulk of the most increase in value. So pay attention when you get your assessment notice, and also keep in mind when you get your assessment notice and you see your value, we are talking about a market value. What would you sell your property for? What does the market say you could get for your property? So keep that in mind when you look at your value, and when it is increased. You know, we're seeing our market. You know, we've had a good market in the county for the last 3 or 4 years, and we did use sales all the way back to 2018 to verify the trend in the market, and it has increased. We do have a good market, so that's a good thing. You know, we want our properties to hold their value and to be sellable whenever we, you know, if we choose to go that direction. If you do have a large tract, which I said saw a lot of increase in value, if you do not have a conservation covenant on your large tract, come in and talk to us about that. That is an exemption, a state exemption that can help you with your taxes. It does give you a different taxable value than what your fair market value is. And just if you have your covenant, it still applies. If you have your freeze, your inflationary freeze exemptions, those still apply, and those will help you, as we have explained, when you have an increase in your property value. So keep in mind, I will come back next week to maybe give a little more final information, but I just wanted to get in touch with you and just let you know that we're almost done with that, that there have been some changes across the board, and things have been cleaned up a little bit. They kind of fit better as far as land values are concerned across the county, so we're pleased with that. And if you have any questions when you get your assessment notice, please contact our office. We're more than happy to sit down and talk with you about your value, whether it increased, decreased, stayed the same. Give us a chance to tell you why, to give you some explanations, and to give you your chance to appeal that. We're more than happy to talk to you. So please do that, and we look forward to hearing from you. And again, if you have any questions, please call our office, our staff. Anyone on our staff will be able to answer your questions. So just let us know. Thank you.
Good report, Paula. And I don't know if you mentioned this, I don't think you did, but also, a lot of people, when you're appraising different parts of the county, how do they wonder how you pick that particular part. Well, from what I understand, from what you've told me over the years, every 3 years, in other words, you take a quarter, is that right? A third of the county, and in 3 years' time, you have to physically touch that property, whether you've added anything or not. Someone from your office has to physically drive and touch, and that's why you see the little car out every once in a while, or in your neighborhood, is it's
and
just
that
not.
Doesn't mean just that third of the properties get a value change. That doesn't have anything to do with the value.
No,
that's simply data collection.
And that's a law. I mean, that's something you have to live by. Yeah. Okay. Good report, though. Okay, I'll talk about a few things here before we go into the COVID report. County Road 6 is, we're ready to paving. I just came from up there just a minute ago, and the rain really set us back this week, but we're going to be putting blacktop down on it Monday. We've got our striping people lined up for the following week. So at the end of that week or during that week, we should be able to open it back up because everything's been ready for paving. It's just been the water. We're not going to put it down with dampness and all, where we're taking a chance of the paving coming up. So anyway, that's where we stand right now, and I'll give you a little bit more about that next week. Our vaccination, we are actually downstairs. They're vaccinating from 12 and up now. They do have a vaccine to do that, and they do need you to call and make an appointment. They are taking some walk-ups, but from what I understand, not for the 12-year-olds. It's they have X amount of actually vaccine that they give out per day, and they do allow a few walk-ups. So it's best to call, but if you need to walk in, it might take you a while, but you can still get your shot. Also, the primary health care, they're still giving the actual vaccination down at the four fields, but you do have to call them and make an appointment. And I think they're down there maybe a couple times a week, and you just drive up, get your shot, and wait 15 minutes, and then you can leave. Down here, downstairs, you do have to come in, and you do have to register there inside. So there's no reason for you to, not be able to get your vaccination if you want to do that. And also, from what I understand, the parent, of course, does have to be with the juvenile, there to fill out, or guardian when they do administer the vaccine. We've got Antique Alley going on right now. That started this morning, and I know there's a lot of people south of here and north of here coming through, and it'll get worse as the weekend goes in, so be careful there. It's going to be a really pretty weekend, so if you can get out and enjoy yourself and just enjoy, maybe you might find some treasure, you never know, in some of these. The Dade County Sports Complex, now Stacy's World, I call it down there, because he stays there more than he does at home. Carey, we've got a really good website up and running pertaining to that, and any information you need pertaining to that, or if you need to add anything, if you're a coach or whatever, just contact Carey, 423-290-6655, Carey Anderson, and she'll work with you on it. But it's a really, I looked at it yesterday. It's really they've done a good job. A good job on it. The Dollar General store we've been talking about for the last few weeks, they are open. They opened, I think, Monday or Tuesday, I believe, wasn't it, Carey? And they're up and running down south of Trenton here with the old Fred's building. We're glad to see some new life in that building, and it really looks good. They were still working this morning, stocking and and all, but they are open for business right now, so go down and check that out. The state of Georgia, we've had a few calls concerning gas gouging, or people that they felt like it was unfair on prices. Not so much in Dade County, but in some of the other counties. And the governor or his office has come up with a hotline if you feel that you're being charged, during this little pipeline incident that we've had. If you feel like you're getting charged too much, they do have an investigative hotline. It's 1-800-869-1123. And Carey, you've got that posted, I'm sure, online. So if you forget what I'm telling you, just look online, and she's got that up. And feel free to call this number, and it goes directly into the state. They've set up a special group of people to go out and investigate, because throughout Georgia there has been some down around Metro Atlanta and that area and out in the outskirts. So if you see that going on, please call, and hopefully we'll be out of this by this time next week. Everyone should have gas back, and back pumping. I know right now there's a lot of stations out, a lot more than I thought that are out of gas. The grant program's still going on with Paula Duvall. Paula Stallings, excuse me. But Paula will be glad to help anyone that's been displaced by the COVID-19. If you're displaced out of work or whatever, we've got this program going on, and they will help you find a job or place you for X amount of months to help you get back on your feet. And just call this office here, 657-4625, and they'll get you in touch with Paula. The budget process, I mentioned that in the commission meeting the other night. We've been working on that for a while, and we met with actually the sheriff this morning, and pertaining to the jail, and also the sheriff's department and the jail, which is two separate budgets. That was pretty lengthy, but we've got that, and we've got a few more things to brush up on that. But that's the biggest and the most lengthy group that we meet with, or constitutional officer anyway, because they are they're one of the biggest ticket items as far as money goes and tax money. The driver's license service, I want to mention that. Carey reminded me of that. They're here next Monday. So if you're in need of a renewal or whatever, they'll be glad to help you. They do get here. What time do they get here? They get here early, don't they?
I think it's 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock. Get started, and they stay pretty late. So and that's on the website too. You can go and pull that up if you want to. Let's go on into my report here.
Yeah, they're 8 to 5.
8 to 5, okay. The Dade County right now, we're at 1,222 confirmed cases since it began back in March of last year. And we've had 18 positive cases reported in the last 2 weeks. We've had 13 deaths since the beginning, and 62 hospitalizations. Walker County, now they've had 130 reported positive cases in the last 2 weeks. They're up to 6,594 in Walker County. Catoosa County, they're at 5,754 positive cases, and they've went up actually 115 in the last 14 days. Chattooga County, they're at 2,251 in Chattooga, and they've actually had 32 positives reported in the last 2 weeks. Tennessee, Hamilton County, one of our neighbors, big county, they have had 44,482 positive cases since this all began. At this time, they have 470 active cases, and they've had 495 deceased. The Marion County, they're at 3,127, and they have 11 active cases as we speak. They've had 3,069 recoveries out of that 3,127, and they've had 47 deaths. Moving down to Alabama, Jackson County. They're at 6,815 in Jackson County. They've had 112 deaths, and they've had 24 cases reported in the last 14 days. DeKalb County, another neighbor down the road here, they're at 8,846 positive cases since the beginning. They've had 187 deaths, and 32 cases have been reported positive in the last 14 days. So we're still getting those positive cases, it's still, we're kind of leveled off, and people are kind of getting back to somewhat normal, because all of, the governor and everyone's trying to relieve, everything as far as the 6-foot distancing, the mask mandate and all. But as you can see by these numbers, and these are real numbers, don't let your guard down too much because it's still out there. And I've talked to some people, not a lot, but there has some people that has had their first shot that they put off, that they didn't get their second one. And these are not people real close to us. These are people in other counties, but they actually had the COVID again. So if you get that first shot, try to go back and finish it up and get the other shot. And I think it's what now, Carey, 99%, 99 point whatever percent. So and it's nothing forced. It's nothing. It's all up to you, and just use common sense. I keep using that word, but you need to use common sense on it. And because you're especially the adults, you need to look around you. And it's not only for your good, but it's for the people that you're there around every day. Anyone got any questions or anything?
No questions.
Nothing.
No questions that we see.
I want to read something. I've had people in the last few months that, actually, I get this question quite a bit. Is pertaining to Rising Fawn. I live in Rising Fawn. I lived there all my life, and I had people that really, especially newer people that move in, and people maybe have lived there all their life and never really thought about it, is where the Rising Fawn name came from. And most people say, "Oh, it's an Indian legend." Well, this right here was actually written, and it was actually a copy of this was given to me years ago by Miss Thomas down in Rising Fawn, and she was, I think Miss Thomas was 102. I think when she passed away. She'd lived there all of her life, and her dad was actually our first railroad agent when they opened the depot there in Rising Fawn. So there's a lot of history that went back, and she kind of had written this, and it's pretty interesting. But it says, the name Rising Fawn, it says, where did this name come from? It says, according to legend, it was the custom of the Indian tribe living in the section to name a newborn child from the first object attracting attention after its birth. One morning, as Dawn stood tiptoe, she liked to put little words in there, she was really a good spokesman, but tiptoe on the misty mountaintop of Old Lookout Mountain, an Indian mother who had just given birth to a lusty little boy saw a fawn, a little deer, arising from its bed of dewy bracken. I guess that would be dewy leaves, and named the infant Rising Fawn. He later became chief of the tribe. When the white men came into the settlement, they called the village Rising Fawn after the chief. In the northeast section of the village, between the Southern Railway and Lookout Creek, there is a large field to this day, and it's known this day as the Old Ben's Field, because an old Indian by the name of Ben's lived there until the Indians were removed to Oklahoma. Now, that field they're talking about is not a field. Well, it is a field now, but it's actually right, which is where they call the coal yard. It's where the depot diner used to be. And that used to be a big field, went all the way down to the creek. And it was really a beautiful field. It was, used to have it in corn and cotton and all. But that's the field that you're referring to, because this was way before that. It said hundreds of arrowheads of many sizes and shapes have been found in the fields and an old creek bank, and all over and on the creek banks today. It says also there is another Indian legend concerning a lead mine. When the white men wanted lead for bullets, they contacted the Indians, who 2 to 3 days later would bring them quantities of pure lead. When the Indians were driven from their land, they boasted that they had so hidden the entrance to their mines that the white people could never find them. That was when they were ran out. They went for whatever, for revenge, or just because the hatred was so bad, they destroyed the mine entrance where you could not. They said, no white person could ever find. Many have tried and many have failed. One white man, an orphan reared by the Indians and taken to Oklahoma with them, claimed to have been permitted to make one trip to the mine in his life. He remembered being blindfolded and led across a foot log. Lookout Creek is the only running water requiring a bridge for the crossing. An interested person went to Oklahoma and brought this man back to Rising Fawn in an attempt to locate the mines. But as the years passed, it had so changed all landmarks that nothing was familiar, and the long trip was fruitless. Thus ended the story. But with many metal detectors, she said, and now being perfected, someday maybe they'll find the lead mine. But I've always heard that story, and it's been told to me a few different ways, but it all kind of relates back to this. But it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting how Rising Fund got its name, and pretty interesting that we did have a chief, actually a group of Indians or tribe here with that name, the chief. So anyway, it may have been boring to you, but some people I'm sure would have found this interesting. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, we appreciate y'all watching this, and hopefully it was informative, and we'll be back next week or sooner if we need to be. And stay safe out there. If you're flea marketing, be careful because it's a bumper to bumper. I know south of here. So just call us if you need us. 667-8999, area code 423. Thank you.